Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. How are you? Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following first message that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the message it reads like this. Hello, Badanashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I just want to hear from your followers. If it happened that I was their relative, will they ever forgive me? If it happens that they get to know that their relative was a grave digger and their relative used to dig up the graves and to cut off the limbs from the dead bodies of the people that they would have found inside the grave and sell off the limbs to a traditional healer, will they forgive me? I do not expect much, but I just want your listeners to at least help me out. Should I tell my relatives? Because there are a lot of things that have been happening in the family. There are a lot of people in the family that suffer from mental illness because of the things that I used to do. I used to be a grave robber here in Zim. I used to work for this other ritualist. My name is Tinashe and I was born in Chitungwiza, and for years I used to survive by robbing graves, digging up the graves. My parents, they were not rich. We were so poor. My parents, they used to sell fruit and veggies, and we made a living by selling tomatoes. As I grew older, that was when I was able to get a license and I started driving taxis. Whilst I was working, I then had an accident. Unfortunately, the woman that I bumped into, like, it was not even a big accident. I just bumped into that woman. But this woman, she was married to a man that was very wealthy. And this man, he saw it fit to fix me. His brothers, his young brothers, they were all lawyers and they wanted me to rot in prison just for a simple mistake, an accident, me just bumping into that woman, but they wanted me to rot in prison, and indeed they did as they had told me. They said that they were going to make sure that I will never come out of prison until they wanted me to come out of prison. This was their own revenge. So in 2013, when I came out of prison, I was broke and I had no other way, no means to hustle anymore. I was stuck. When I was stuck like that, I then went to this other traditional healer. He is very famous in our country, but as for now, he is no longer staying in Zim. He's staying in another country. This man, I will call him Apiri. Sekuru Piri, he was the man that I went to because I wanted to understand how was it even possible that I grew up in a poor family. My mom, she tried by all means so that we can make it in life, and she encouraged me to get a driver's license. I was working as a taxi driver. I was not getting much, but at least I was able to live a life that was okay. But all of a sudden, everything just happened so fast and I lost everything. So I wanted to understand what really had happened. So then that was when that traditional healer said to me, stop blaming your ancestors and start blaming yourself. I wanted to know why. He wanted me to stop blaming everyone else and to blame myself. He said that as a man, you have to find the means, the necessary means, so that you can have what you want in life. He told me that he wanted to offer me a job. He asked me if I was willing to work for him. I did not know what kind of a job that I would be doing for him. He just asked me and he said, young man, do you want quick money? Are you strong enough to work with my boys, to move around the country with my boys? Because all that I need right now is another pair of hands. And if I tell that boy that will be working for me to go and dig, that boy must go and dig wherever I'll send him to go and dig. And I want someone that does not have fear, who does not show fear at all. I did not even understand. But when he told me that I was going to be getting $500, this was more than all that I wanted to hear from this traditional healer. Immediately I jumped in and I said that I wanted to work for him, even though I did not even know what kind of a job it was. So my first task was that I was supposed to go to Warren Hills Cemetery in Harare. We went there. It was at midnight. We used his taxi because he also had a taxi. We had our picks and we had our shovels, and we were with some of his nephews. When we got there, we were told that we were not supposed to speak to each other. Otherwise, we will end up seeing some creatures of the night like ghosts and things like that, like witches. So we were told that no matter what, we were never supposed to speak to each other whilst we were busy digging. So then that was when we started digging. We dug up the grave. When I looked at the sign that was on the grave, I then saw that this woman had been buried 3 days earlier on. And when we finally removed her coffin, the way that this lady was smelling, it was really bad. There were worms all over her body. She was covered in maggots. People, they just act as if they are so special. But when you die, if you see someone that is rotting, that would have died, you will see that life has no meaning at all. What I saw on that day, I had never even expected to see such a rotting corpse in my entire life. Then I started to vomit after we had been told that we were supposed to remove this woman from the coffin. The way that this woman was smelling, it was just too much for me. I then went somewhere and I started to vomit. The traditional healer's nephew followed me with a walking stick as I was vomiting. He started to hit me, not too much on my back, and he gave me signs that I was supposed to eat up everything that I had vomited, because it is not allowed to vomit in the graveyard and then you leave whatever that you would have vomited in the graveyard. So I had to eat everything. He kept on telling me that I was supposed to do this, but he was giving me the signs that you have to eat up everything that you have vomited. When he hit me on my back with that walking stick, I felt the energy. I felt as if I was possessed by an ancestor that had came from a dimension where they were starving to death. I started eating all the things that I had vomited. I ate everything, to tell you the truth, including the soil at the place where I had vomited. I was then taken back to where we had removed the dead body of that woman. I was then given a knife, and with that knife I was told to go to work. To start working, I was given an instruction to cut off the fingers from that woman's hand. I was then given another instruction to cut off the toes from that woman's feet. There were others that were with us. We were all given separate tasks to perform on the dead woman. Some of them, they cut off the breast and the private part, and we would give everything to the traditional healer's nephew. We then returned back to the traditional healer. I was not even comforted. Even when we were given the money, I kept on thinking about the things that we had done, something I never thought that I would ever do in my entire life. Soon I became a regular boy. He used to call me the boy that would be sent everywhere. I would go and I would fetch skulls. I would dig up graves, the bones from the people that would have died even in the villages. If we would see that it is easy to dig up the grave and we won't get caught, we will do as we would have been instructed. As time went on, when I saw that I was able to make so much money, I then thought of leaving that place where I was working because of the things that were happening in my marriage. My wife, whenever I was not at home, she would see dead people that would visit her. She would see me inside of a grave, busy cutting up the limbs off from dead people. And when she would tell me, I would tell her that whatever that she saw, it was not real. It was just a hallucination. But we were being visited by all the dead people that I was cutting off all of their dead body parts, and I was selling off to this traditional healer. My wife, she nearly messed up everything for me because she once went to a church where she was given some prayers, and those prayers, they were messing up things for me at work, and I divorced my wife. She does not even know that this was the reason as to why I told her that we could not stay anymore together. She has no idea. As for my relatives, they hurt me quite a lot because they do not even know that their suffering, it comes from the work that I used to do starting in 2013. Am I supposed to tell my relatives or not? Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother. Let us try to speak with our dear brother in the comment section. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Then there is another message that was sent to me by one of our admin, and the message, it reads like this. Hello, how are you? I really started as a true man of God. I was just a genuine pastor, but then poverty happened. So I joined Satanism. Till this very day, I'm still into Satanism. I'm still a pastor, but now if you see me, you'll just think that I'm just a normal pastor, and I have a security company. I have my own mission, because usually when my security guards are at work, there are other things that I'll be doing in the background, just making sure that those people that they would be guarding their properties, they would be blessed, but not being blessed by God. And when they are blessed by the devil, a lot of demons will follow them. People think that when you have a beautiful house, when you suddenly buy a beautiful car, it means that God has blessed you. Do you know that there are a lot of different blessings? There are some of the blessings that do not come from God. Those are the blessings that you should never wish for, and the blessing that you will never want to have in your life. My story started when I was ordained as a pastor. It was in the year 2008. I used to go to this other very small Pentecostal church, those location churches that never grow, that always stay the same. Life was very difficult because we used to preach in tents, in schools, in dusty fields, in the villages. Money was never there because the people that came to our church, they were also poor people from the same community. The congregants, when they will say that they are giving something, they would be giving us coins. And just imagine people bringing in potatoes when we used to go and preach in the villages where there were nearby farms. They will bring the potatoes and they will say that this is their tithing, and we had to find transport to get those potatoes from the village back to the city. And I would watch other pastors, like I had an obsession with Nigerian pastors, with the way that they would flaunt their wealth. I would always watch them on God channel TVs, and I would see some of them Nigerians, South Africans, and some from neighboring countries like them driving beautiful cars, Range Rovers, having a motorcade, filling big churches and big stadiums. And all that I wanted was to be like them, to be called Papa by people that trusted you. I thought that being called Papa, it was going to bring respect and to make me close to God. I did not even know that there were some that were into money-making rituals. So I then attended this other crusade that happened in Soweto, and there was a visiting prophet that came from Nigeria, and I was amongst the few that had been chosen to be part of the hosting team. So the wife of that Nigerian prophet was being hosted by women pastors, and then we were hosting the men, the prophets. So he was staying at this other hotel. After each and every service at the crusade, we would be taken by the motorcade and we will have a nice dinner at the hotel where he was staying. Then we will be taken to our different places of residency. So we got the chance to speak with him one-on-one. This was a man that I used to see on TV, a very powerful man that I thought that he was. So there was this other man who used to move around with this Nigerian prophet. He then came to me after this prophet had returned back to his country. We were always in communication with that man. He then came to our church and he said that he felt so sorry for the community because this church had no real growth, and if I wanted the church to have real growth, I was supposed to meet the Father. These are the exact words that he said. If you want real growth, you must meet our Father who is in Nigeria. He will open your eyes and you are going to see what it is to have real power. So in 2011, that was when I left South Africa and I flew to Lagos. I was taken to this other house where we were staying. It was not only me, there were other young pastors from different parts of Africa. We were at this other place that seemed to be out of touch with reality. It was in the bushes on the outskirts of the city. There were even some military men that were there, and we were told that we were going to be staying there and we were being protected by those military men just in case if we were going to get kidnapped. We waited and we waited until we were told that it was time for us to be strengthened before we could have a one-on-one with the Nigerian prophet, because he was always close to God, like what Moses did when he was on the mountain. And if we could see him without being cleansed and being strengthened, then we will die on the spot. The rituals that were being done, they gave us excuses like these were rituals that were always done in the Old Testament. So we never thought much about it. We were being given blood to drink that was mixed with ashes, and we were told to wash ourselves, and we were told to make a covenant. And this covenant that we were made to sign, we were going to sign this covenant using our own blood. From that day onwards, I did not know that I was no longer a pastor of Christ, but I became a pastor of Satan, the devil himself. When I returned back to South Africa, all of a sudden, that ministry where I was pastoring, it exploded overnight. People started to fill the church. We even had a church in Sunnyside. We once had a church there. And to tell you the truth, there were times when sick people were being healed, and there was even one woman that I once prayed for. She was in her 40s. She was married to her husband, and they had an arrangement with another woman whom he had fallen pregnant for her husband, and that was a child. Even though it was not a child, they took the child from that woman, and they had an arrangement with him. I prayed for that woman, and she conceived the next year. She had a newborn baby. People did not know. They thought that it was God's power, but it was something that was demonic. As time went by, I flew back to Nigeria for renewals. By then, I was nearly famous. There was even one time when I preached on SABC. It was on a Sunday morning. That was when I was called to Nigeria. I was told that my mission was different. I was given another different type of an anointing. So when you are given this type of an anointing, what it means is that you are not supposed to become famous. I was made or forced to sleep in a coffin with a corpse for 7 hours to gain prophetic vision and sight, and to always see whom I am supposed to fight against. When I returned back to South Africa, that was when I was given the money to start a security company. So usually we target those that are newlyweds, those that are trying to achieve something in life. And when those people have my security guards at their houses or where they stay in the complexes, if it happens that I have a contract with that complex, what it means then is that it means that at that complex, it is the devil that rules. You can pray and you can think that God is answering to your prayers, because when I pray for you, I pray for you to succeed. I pray for everyone in that complex to succeed so that they won't go on their knees for a very long time. Wherever my security guards are, people are blessed, but it is not heavenly blessings, but these are the blessings that come from the devil himself. These are worldly blessings, making sure that these people that will be having all of these beautiful cars, staying in nice apartments, they won't think much. How can you tell someone that they have 3-4 cars parked outside of their apartment that God has not blessed them? They'll think that you are the one that is running mad. At night, there is a snake that comes to me, and this snake, it sleeps on my chest. And my wife, she miscarried 3 times when I was being initiated. This was my initiation ceremony. When you post my story, please tell me. I'll be following. I just wanted to warn South Africa that it is not each and every blessing that comes from God. People should have discernment. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brothers.